and that's another one of the disconnects too, is like you get down this train of like, my government subsidized insurance will pay an insurance payment if I grow this, this, or this. And this is my 3 crop rotation. This, and this. And that's it. Where it used to be an 80-acre farm, they were all a diversified farm. They all had some chickens. They all had a milk cow. They all had some pigs. They all, right? So let's say you grew a surplus of X, whether it's corn, which was probably a regular hybrid corn, non-GMO, because that was before GMOs. And if the market was strong enough, you took it to the elevator and sold it to the elevator. If the market wasn't, you went to the sale barn, you bought a few calves, you brought them home, put them in your little 25 head feedlot and fed that corn that you ran through your own grinder mixer to feed to those calves, to put the gain on them, to then take them back to the sale barn to make your money. That's how they all worked. Like, that's how my grandpa farmed and my great grandpa farmed, because you hedged your bets no matter what you grew. It wasn't reliant on subsidy because they didn't exist. Those insurance programs didn't exist then. Those all came in post 71 for the most part. So we go off the gold standard, and then we're going to do the Earl Butts farm fence row to fence row, and we're going to use food. We're going to use our surplus of food as a weapon against every other country, namely Russia at the time, because we could grow faster, grow bigger, grow more than them, suppress their export markets for their grain, and control the whole world population by how much grain we could grow. So what happened? All those small diversified farms went out of business because there was no bet to hedge, because the big guy next door was going to reduce the price of your corn to the point that you couldn't even make the difference up in feeding it to your calves in your feedlot. So they just folded up shop and went to work in town at the John Deere dealership or at the Ford factory or whatever. And as soon as you take that diversification and everyone gets super specialized, it becomes super unstable, because it only takes one little thing and it all starts to go under.
To me, you can expand that to humanity too. I'm not going to say specializations are bad, because it is actually good for discoveries. But to me, the worst advice ever that I had, and most society has, is never being the jack of all trades, master of none. I think that's complete bullshit. Because, again, going back to the 1800s, they had insane amount of skills. Going to today's society, you go to a farmer ranch, a lot of them are more than just a farmer rancher. They're carpenter, and I can just start naming all of them. And we've also lost that, in a sense that to where you live in town now, you call a guy for AC, you call a guy for the shingles, you call a guy for this, that, or the other. And
well, that's the thing for me, right? I'm an animal nutritionist. For me, it's pretty easy. Salt, mineral, water, grass. Don't need anything more than that. I am a veterinarian. You have a bull calf that has a rectal prolapse, I can push it back in and do a purse string stitch around their rectum to hold it in. Have a cow having a hard time having a calf, I can reach in there, reorient the calf, help the calf be born. I mean, it's on and on and on. Tractor gets a flat tire, I can take the tire apart, take the tube out, patch the hole, put a boot in the tire, put it back together. You know, it's every single thing. The tin roof blows off the calving barn, I can climb back up there and screw the tin back down. You know, and that's all of those things that it's not a specialized skill, but it's handy to know the basics of it.
Yeah, and that to me is part of the long-term demoralizing campaign against us from the powers that be. Is you go very specialized, but then also you are just in the system with going to pharma, and then it's just the revolving door. And then that's why I try to get people, again, to go visit a farm, is to break free. It's to understand how we've been living I'm not saying to not live in a city, but it's just how we've been living and what we're told how we should live from the government, and then how they kind of mingle in all their other ways is not, it's unfulfilling. I mean, we're so miserable. That's why we're so unhealthy too. We are such a miserable bunch of people for a lot of different reasons. But to me, one way to change your perception and also think long term, but then also think about personal responsibility is, again, shake the hand that feeds you. I don't know. To me, it just snowballs from there.
Well, and that's so like selling us the American dream. What that meant is it was going to be good for the car manufacturers because everyone needs to have their own car. You know, the little house with a white picket fence, that means everybody's going to have a mortgage, which means everybody's going to have some sort of job. So,
and then also we've been led to maintaining that front lawn to where it's got to be pristine,
totally.
anti-nature, and there's no gardens. But
Yeah, and so it's like so let's look at who made let's live the American dream, the whole suburban sprawl, all of that stuff. It was the banks for a mortgage, it was the auto manufacturers for the car, it was the appliance manufacturers because everybody had to have a washer and a dryer and a microwave, and I mean on and on and on and on. And what I find to believe to be true for me, because of where I live and how I was raised, I can do without all of those things.